This week we have a very special Parsha, which is the Parsha of Vezot Haberachah. Vezot Haberachah is the 54th Parsha of the Torah and the 11th and final Parsha in the book of Devarim, which is the last book of the Torah, which makes this week's Parsha the final Parsha of the Torah. It's quite amazing. Over the past 54 Parshas, we have seen everything from the creation of the world to we saw the stories of our forefathers and our foremothers, and we saw that the Jews enter the land of Egypt, stay in the land of Egypt, and have their exodus after being enslaved there for 210 years. The Jews then spent 40 years in the desert, and at this point are on the cusp, really truly about to enter the land of Israel. In Judaism, when we complete the study of some great work or some book, we always celebrate with a big party called a siyum. Siyum literally means completion, but it also refers to the party or the celebration that people have when they complete studying something. And the Torah, which is sort of the greatest Jewish book, is no exception. The completion of a reading of the Torah, or finishing up of the 5 books of Moses, always coincides with the holiday of Simchat Torah, which is literally a celebration or joy of the Torah. Simchat Torah is like a Shabbat. We don't do any work. We get together with our community and we take out all of the Torahs from the ark in the synagogue and we dance with them, and we do this circling thing where we sort of dance with the Torahs in a circle 7 times. It's called a hakafa, and it's really joyous. All of the men in an Orthodox synagogue, it'll be all of the men, or in other services, all of the people in the synagogue will get an aliyah, which is where they get called up to the Torah, and it's a big honor because as the person is reading through the Torah, it is sort of elevating you. And so it's a really, really special and really joyous holiday. And so in Parshat Vezot Haberachah, it begins with Moses blessing the Jewish people. He's giving them their final blessings. He gives the blessings to each tribe, and the blessings for each tribe are indicative of what that tribe needs, or sort of that tribe's mission. So for example, for the Levites, he blesses them that they should be able to do their service well, or maybe for the tribe of Judah, that's going to be warriors, he blesses them for strength. All these different things. He blesses each tribe according to its needs. Finally, at the end of the Parsha, Moses ascends Mount Nebo, and God shows him, he's able to see from this high viewing point, he's able to see the land of Israel. The land that he had sort of dedicated his life to. He dedicated his life, his purpose in life was to bring the Jewish people out of Egypt and to be their leader in the desert. And it's really beautiful because this is the conclusion of his mission. Moses ascends Mount Nebo knowing that that's where he's going to die, and that's where, his life is ending. And his life is ending as his purpose in life ends as well. Moses has brought the people to the land of Israel. He has prepared them for this new chapter of their lives. And so it's very beautiful because Moses can see the beauty of the land that the Jewish people are going to enter and are going to have as their own. And so he can rejoice in the fact that he accomplished his purpose. He didn't fail the Jewish people. He did indeed guide them throughout all of these hardships for so many years to the place that God wanted them to arrive at. And it's very beautiful. And there Moses dies, and it says that God himself buried Moses. And after Moses' death, the people mourn him, and after sort of their period of mourning, Joshua becomes the new leader. And the very end of the Torah says that there was never again a leader like Moses. Never again somebody who was so close to God, never again somebody who was able to have that level of prophecy or to create those sort of miracles that we saw from the 10 plagues and throughout the Exodus story. And so it is sort of a bittersweet moment because it's the conclusion of this grand story that we have spent such a big amount of time going through. But what's amazing about Simchat Torah, what's amazing about the way that the Jewish Torah reading cycle works is that while, yes, the 5 books of Moses conclude and we finish reading the Torah on Simchat Torah, we also restart reading the Torah because there's no such thing as the end of the Torah. The Torah continues. The Torah is meant to be something that we read and we reread and we gain new meaning from each and every year. And so what we do on Simchat Torah is we conclude the book of Devarim, the final book of the Torah, and we restart the book of Genesis, the book of Bereshit, and we read sort of the first portion of the Parsha Bereshit, which talks about creation. It talks about God creating the world in 6 days and resting on the seventh. And so, really, in Judaism, there isn't such thing as finishing the Torah. We have a huge party because we are celebrating that we made it through this journey and we've read everything that there is to read in the 5 books of Moses, but it's not the end. You know, I've made a video on every single Parsha, but that's not the conclusion of the story. You know, there's so much more to learn and to relearn and to gain wisdom from each year. The amazing thing about the Torah is it finds ways to surprise you. Now, I come from a family of writers. My dad's a writer, my mother's a writer, my brother's a writer, and they've all written books. And I never would have imagined that I would write a book. It just wasn't something that I had interest in. But as I've created these videos throughout the year, my brother suggested to me that I should write a book about the Parshas and about sort of these comments that I've made about each one of the Parshas throughout the year. And I thought it was a good idea, and so I have written a book now, and I hope that it will be published at the end of this year, 2020, or at the start of 2021, about the Parsha and about sort of my thoughts on each Parsha. And it's amazing because the Torah really surprises you. It really brings you to places that you would never expect. It teaches you things that you would never plan, and it brings you closer to your purpose and to your mission. You know, when I started these video series, I didn't really know where it was going to go. But now I've created a direction. I know that even though I'm concluding this chapter where I'm speaking about each week's Parsha, I'm going to have this book, and I'm going to continue to grow this channel and talk about other Jewish subjects that I think people would benefit from knowing more about. And so I encourage all of you to go back to the beginning, go back to Bereshit, go through the Torah, see what grabs you, what excites you, what you can learn. There is so much wisdom and so much knowledge in the Torah, and it's really the biggest gift that God has given us as a nation. And so, again, I don't want you to look at this as a conclusion. This is just the beginning, and I hope it'll be the beginning of something great for you. And so I wish you all a wonderful week and a Shabbat Shalom.